Hi again, YouTube. Back again. Hoping to finish the story that I've been telling you so that you kind of see where I'm coming from. So, anyway, my son's by this point in high school and I am just in a really bad place. SAD is an issue that I deal with, seasonal affective disorder, or there are other names for it. It's always affected me, but for some reason this year, there was a particular year it was bad. And then my dad had a heart attack, and didn't live close to my parents. I didn't drive. Huge causes of stress, and had to go up deal with my parents. My mum can be quite high strung, and I dealt with it all. And my poor son was through it because there was nowhere that he could go, and I came back, and I remember we came back the following weekend, and my son got up. My son's weird. He's very good at getting up early. Always has been, which is great. Makes life easy. But he came in and he says, "Oh, Mum, I'm just you're sleeping late. I need to get going for school." And I couldn't get out of bed. I just couldn't do it. I was done. I could barely hold anything together. The thought of even going downstairs into the kitchen to make a cup of tea was beyond the realm of possibility. I just broke. I could do nothing. And I was like this for months. I could drag myself out of bed eventually into the living room. Up until this point, I've been quite active. I've been quite healthy. I'd gone through a really good period in my life, probably one of the most positive periods I'd had. And suddenly I went from being quite active almost every day, doing some kind of activity, to barely moving and knowing my son needs fed, but I can't go into the kitchen and cook. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous. How difficult is it to go and boil some potatoes? Or how difficult is it to even put some chips in the oven and chop up a salad? But I just could not do it. During this time, I was again having to see the doctor. I was having to do, I was on more antidepressants, and I just knew things were not good. And the one good thing I will say that came out of this is I'd stopped smoking about 2 or 3 years earlier, but I was still addicted to the nicotine gum. The only thing I could not say to my son, go to the shop and buy, so he could buy bread, he could buy milk, all the essentials. Couldn't buy nicotine gum or cigarettes. So that was good because I got off the nicotine gum. But it took me a long time to get to a place where I could get back into the workplace. And even when I went back, I knew I wasn't right, and I was in pain. I was in chronic pain all the time. I was still depressed, even back at work. But I got to the stage where I could get up, I could dress myself, I could, things like that. But not long after that, I was being referred to the doctor for the pain. And then, warning, yucky stuff, I have issues with my periods. Always have done, but it got really bad. Went to the doctor, he says, "Here, put me on the pill." And oh my goodness, I became manic. Within 2 weeks, I was bouncing off the ceiling. I was in it. So I'm already depressed. I'm completely manic, and everything is going just mental. Very luckily, I had a good friend come over, and we went, met up and had a coffee. And I'd taken myself off the pill. I says, "This is what happened to me. It's unbelievable." Now, I'm really sorry to my friend. I can't remember exactly what her master's degree is in, but it's to do with biochemistry-ish things, I think. But we were speaking about it, and she was looking things up, and she goes, "Could you have high levels of progesterone?" And I was like, no, they've always done hormone tests. No, they're all fine. She goes, "Well, it does say here, and that seems to match up, and you were on a progesterone pill. And I thought, well, I'll speak to the doctor about it. Let's be honest, I've got nothing to lose. So I go to the doctor and I said, look, I know you do all these hormone tests and everything's come back fine. However, I believe there might be an issue with my progesterone. No, we only do those kinds of tests on women that are having difficulty conceiving. Well, by this point, I think I'd been single for about 8 years, so that certainly wasn't an issue that would ever have come up. So I was like, right, okay. I says, well, can we do? No, you won't have high. No, you definitely won't have it. I says, I want the test done. And the doctor almost pat me on the head. Gave in, did the test. Great. The results came in. And I had high progesterone levels, and the doctor said, no, this has got to be wrong. I had 2 more tests. So in total, I had 3 tests before the doctor would believe that what I thought was wrong with me was wrong with me. Now, anyone that knows anything about depression or mental health issues know that hormones for men and for women can play a huge role in any kind of mental health problems. It can also play a big role in physical health problems. So we now have this problem, but no one seems to know quite what we do with it. So because of the pain I'm in, I'm then diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So I'm then at points in so much absolute agony that I am having to take crutches to work to walk across an office. Horrendous. Not every day was like that, but there were a lot of days like that. So any activity I did was out the window. My love of rugby was out the window because it was even difficult to get to my local team to support them, let alone go back and play. All the things I did were pretty much out the window. I just couldn't cope anymore. So eventually I then start chatting to someone online. Meet a nice person. And we start exchanging messages, we meet up and we're getting on brilliantly, and I decide that I'm not happy where I'm not happy in my job, I don't have the support that I once had, and a lot of that is I cut myself off, and I know this. I've got to give a shout out to a good friend who convinced me to get a dog, because the dog actually made me have to leave the house because you have to walk the dog, especially mine because he's quite big. But I then moved back to a part of the country I was originally from, which would be great had Mum and Dad not moved down to be closer to us. I go to a new doctor's, and I'll be honest and say this doctor had no idea about fibromyalgia, mental health conditions. He'd been treating someone who had fibromyalgia for quite some time, but they really didn't. It was just take a pill. So I'm taking lots of pills. My family then goes through quite a horrific experience involving the death of a relative and things. And this happened within a few weeks of me moving in with my partner and his family. And I have to say, for almost the entire time we've been together, this has kind of been this dark shadow over us. So we've been dealing with that, and I'm an only child, so I have to deal with my parents getting more fragile, elderly and things. And I was, again, I had a spell of time off work. I wasn't coping with work. I just wasn't coping with life, if I'm completely honest. I'm also going to point out that my manager was head of a local social services mental health team, had no interest in the fact that I had severe mental health problems. I again moved, this time my partner and I moved into our own house as my old house had sold, and went to a new doctor's surgery. Now, give them their due, this doctor's surgery, much better, much better. But again, the fibromyalgia was becoming a big problem. I had to go down to Manchester, and I met up with my cousin, who happens to be an A&E staff nurse, and you know, we were sat together for the day, you know, having coffee and things, and she saw how many pills I was taking. And she was like, why are you taking all of these? And I explained the fibromyalgia, the pain. I said, you know, mental health's not great, I'm in not a great place. And she says, do you know that there are studies out there that link some of these painkillers you're on to actually increased pain receptors? Now, I didn't know this. Doctors had never said this to me. And of course, being in so much pain, you're taking more pills. And as I'm taking more pills, it caused more pain. And I suddenly stopped taking them. And within a couple of weeks, I was off my crutches again. Anyway, you know, so obviously issues with mental health, physical health. Earlier this year, I did have a complete breakdown. It had just become so many things that I was dealing with, so many balls I was trying to keep in the air. You know, I was driving an hour to work every day and then coming an hour back, worried about pretty much everything in the entire world, because quite often when you suffer from anxiety and depression and low self-esteem, everything's your fault anyway. So I had a complete breakdown this year, and I was at the doctor and I says, I'm exhausted, I'm sleeping all the time. I says, I've had depression before, you know, I've had breakdowns and things before. I've never felt this tired. No, as soon as you get your psychology referral, it'll sort you out. Luckily through work I did get therapy appointments that where I work paid for. They pay for 6 sessions. I cannot fault this amazing therapist I went to. She was fantastic. However, I kept going to the doctors and they said, you will, you know, we've referred you to psychology, This went on for about 3 months. All this time I'm off work, barely coping, sleeping most of the day, in complete despair some days, actually having quite vivid images of what I want to do to myself, how much I want to hurt myself. Got called in by the doctor and went in for an appointment, and they said, right, we've had the referral back from psychology, they're not going to see you. And I sat in that doctor's office and I cried and I wept and I said, what do they want? When will I be sick enough for someone to see me? Will it be when I am dead? And that was what led to me putting everything on Facebook. That was what led to me saying, this is wrong. We've got all these public figures coming out saying mental health is a priority, and isn't it great we're speaking about mental health? Well, speaking's great, but let's actually start doing things that help people with mental health issues. Not what we're told is going to help us, not what we believe, you know, that doctors believe is going to help us, but let's make sure they're listening and understanding what we're actually going through. Now, I know that's been quite a long video, so thank you very much for any of those of you who have stayed the course. I'm going to continue now, you know, in my next videos, not with my story, but with ways my story and my life could have been changed if people had stepped up. And remember, there's nothing remarkable about me, there's nothing special about me, so I know I can't be the only one that has been treated in this way, and I can't be the only one that has come across the same roadblocks to getting well. So I hope you now understand where I'm coming from, and I hope you join me in my next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye.